I don't want to go on a vacation, Natalie scoffed. In fact, I don't want to stay with you at all. Eric rubbed his unshaved beard, rolled his eyes at Natalie, and left the room. My father asked politely while folding his cuffs. Your daughter's death was tragic for all of us, but you're behaving as if you had something to do with her death. You could tell us anything if something is bothering you about her death or even now. Natalie said unwillingly, You're all bothering me right now. You all are my problem. She started crying and rushed towards the stairs, wiping her tears, banging her feet on the wooden stairs, and violently closing the door of her room. Eric said carelessly, Let's go, Dad. I can't stay here anymore. Let's go, Casey, my father said with a husky voice. My brother and father left the house, but I couldn't leave my sister in the state she was in. I poked my head out the window and said, I'm staying. My father shouted angrily, You both are mad. I'm fed up with both of you. I'm going. You can do what you like, Casey. My father and brother drove off, leaving me and Natalie in the house. I was sitting in the chair and just looking around and waiting when Natalie came down to see if everyone had left or not. She seemed calm until she saw me sitting in the TV lounge and suddenly had a curious and worried look on her face. Putting her hand on her forehead, she just stood there a moment. A teardrop started sliding down her left cheek to the tip of her chin and finally fell to the ground. I stood up and went to her where I calmly held her and said, I'll have dinner ready for us at 8. Natalie's response was odd. She didn't care about dinner, she just scolded me. You shouldn't have stayed. You shouldn't have stayed. Then suddenly, she ran toward her room and her voice started to fade as she ran farther away from me. I was in the kitchen, cooking beefsteaks for Natalie as a treat, when I heard a scream. I saw my sister looking upward from the top of the stairs next to her bedroom. Just when I was about to run up to her and check on her, she peeked through the stair railings and shouted, Everything's all right. I blew it off and went back to the kitchen and saw that the steaks were torn apart mysteriously. I thought, had some animal gotten in the house and done this? I looked around and saw no animal or a trace of anyone or anything that had been in the kitchen. I decided to go to the supermarket to get more food. I asked Natalie, will you come with me, please? It's just a few steps to the store and then we can sit and have dinner. I think it'll help calm your nerves. Something like an animal got in and ate what I was cooking. Natalie was comparatively calmer and more relaxed than before. Without any expression, she walked outside and coldly said, Let's go. I was surprised to see her willing to go with me, and I said, Okay, great. I'm coming, just a second. We went to the market. When we were walking to the checkout, I saw Natalie just standing there and gazing at the lights of the supermarket as if she was seeing them for the first time. I yelled to my sister, Groceries done, Nat, let's go. Suddenly, I remembered something I had to get. The store was about to close, so I left Natalie with the groceries and went to find what I needed. As I was walking, I heard someone walking with a heavy step behind me. I started looking over my shoulder, not seeing anyone. The further I got, the heavier the sound got. All of a sudden, I saw a mirror in front of me where I could see a reflection of a dark, shady, crooked figure walking right behind me. I was so scared, I ran away so fast without grabbing the food. Frightened and confused, I grabbed Natalie and started running. We ran home and took our shoes off. I saw Natalie's feet were crookedly twisted and she was not behaving normally. I was about to ask her what happened to her feet, but I heard a scream coming from her room upstairs. The voice sounded as if it was Natalie herself, but she was standing right beside me. I turned my eyes toward her, and she was looking at me with a grimy and creepy smile on her face, and she suddenly twisted her body and ran into the kitchen on her feet and hands like a spider. I was terrified and couldn't believe what I had just saw. I ran upstairs to Natalie's bedroom, and was shocked to see what I saw. It was Natalie. She'd been in her room this whole time, tied up to a chair and screaming. It was my sister. I knew it the minute I looked in her eyes. So who was I with at the supermarket? The earth seemed to shift beneath my feet. I stood there in shock, trying to make sense out of everything that had just happened. My heart was pounding like hell in my chest as I tried to fathom what I just saw. Something had been pretending to be Natalie this whole time. The thought alone was mind-boggling. But why? And who? Who can do this to me and my sister? I untied her and said, "Nat, stay here. I'll be right back." I raced down the stairs and into the kitchen, searching for any signs of the creature that had been there, but there was no trace of it anywhere. It was as if it had never been there at all. In the confusion, I heard a clamorous noise coming from the basement. It was an intense and guttural growl that sent shivers down my spine once again. I curiously made my way down the stairs with caution. I turned on the light, and I had a clear vision of the basement. I saw a dark figure lurking in the shadows of the basement. It was the creepy creature that had been with me this whole time. It was humongous, with long and twisted limbs, just as I saw upstairs. Its glowing red eyes seemed to stare straight through me, with its creepy smile uncovering her grimy teeth. Its breath came in ragged gasps and snarled. I knew that in order to free ourselves from it, I had to do something as soon as I could, but I was frozen with fear. I somehow gathered myself, and a sudden burst of courage flooded across my body. I took my cross locket out and waved towards it and wielded a nearby broomstick like a weapon. The creature was snarling and continuously attacking me, but I fought back with all my power. It was growing weaker and weaker, and eventually I managed to send the creature backward into the darkness from where it came. With no strength left in me, I collapsed on the floor, shaking like a leaf in the wind. I saw Natalie around the corner, standing at the top of the stairs, watching me with an expression of terror on her face, crying for help. Behind her was the creature laughing violently. We locked eyes for a moment, and then the creature took a hold of my sister and fled, disappearing into the darkness. That was the last time I saw my sister. Everything that happened in that house had something to do with the tragic death of my niece. I knew it. And now, Natalie's disappearance. The next morning, my brother and father came and saw what had happened and picked me up from the house. We searched for Natalie for a whole month, but didn't find her. She was last seen in torn clothes and a muddy face on her daughter's grave by a stranger. But no one has seen her ever again.